Good afternoon, my friends. Well, being a man, I can only speak for myself, but the best way I can think to put it is there are many locks to a man's heart, on the doorway to a man's heart, and although those all have different keys, there's one master key to rule them all, and that master key is purpose, direction, something that every man may fluctuate between needs, wants, desires, and interests within his life. But having that direction, that arrow, that purpose, is something that most men strive for in their life. And when you're born into this world and told, go get 'em, you know, go make your gold, so to speak, that's what you do. And I was thinking about gold earlier as in the background as I was cleaning up. There was an Alan Watts discussion that came on. It's one that I probably heard a half dozen times, but whenever it comes on by chance, I just listen to bits and pieces as I walk through the room. And there happened to be this one part that I'd caught a few weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, the same exact discussion about gold. And we in this society, we don't create a huge incentive. You don't hear of so much of large institutions or governments going out to try to figure out better ways to clean up water, to feed people, to clothe people, to help others, to make sure that the world's better for everyone, even though that's the duty that governments are put in power to do. But they don't, and we know this, and we just take it as the norm. But he said, but when a company is looking to invest, a new gold mine is always a worthy option. And still to this day, we are investing in gold mines, even though gold has become much more difficult to navigate. It's no longer, panning and finding a vein somewhere. They're panning and doing, huge strip mining, these huge areas just to get this nano gold or these small particles, because the value of gold is worth it to them to do so. Even though it's absolutely devastating to the environment and it's absolutely worthless really in the big picture, it has value because we give it value. But we don't give the same value to making sure that all humans are actually taken care of. And to me, a man's purpose should involve, at least to some degree, giving a shit what's going on in the world and to other people. Even if there's nothing we can do about it, we don't have to scream and cry about it, we don't have to complain about it, but just being simply aware that, while we're investing in these, companies that produce, more and more machinery so we can dig out more and more of these elements, you have to ask yourself which of these elements are actually beneficial, and which are just commodities for somebody to, rape the land for, so to speak. And gold, of course, has been our oldest trading, metal, so naturally it's going to be the one that's going to be used for trade. But going off the gold standard, I could go into all the different political aspects of it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. It's really just the very, very basic fact that we're still hung up on thinking that progress is moving forward and getting your gold, when we're still allowing corruption, thievery, and death and war, that we've allowed this to be just a normal part of our lives. That when we hear, oh, there's a war, oh, people are dying, it's just, this is how people are. This is the mentality that we have right now. And I don't buy into it for a second. I know that it's inherent within who we are to constantly be at odds with one another, but I don't think it's inevitable. I don't believe in a perfect utopia. There will always be conflict. But the fact that we're so focused on supplying tools of war while we don't even know how to make peace, has always just made my head spin. And I realize it's out of my control, it's out of my hands. All I can do is not partake, but often that's just not enough. We have to speak out when we see something wrong. Fortunately, the world, 90 well over 90% of the world, probably 95 to 98% of the world, is very much opposed to war and doesn't want to fight battles. They just want to be left alone to live their lives. But a very small portion, especially the ones that aren't affected, the ones that can make excuses to not have to go to battle, they're either too wealthy or they have bone spurs or whatever other excuse people have. While they can criticize, military and other countries for defending themselves and protecting themselves, acting as if the whole people of a country want to fight, when we know that's not true, because that's not how people think. People just want to be left alone. So I think if we focused as much on the gold that we have in front of us as the gold that we could pull out of the ground, maybe we could be in a better situation than we are today. But I don't know. What do you think? I'll talk to you all later. Have a wonderful day. Take care of each other.